Hello, everybody. Welcome to this beautiful panel discussion we have today with the team of Asha Experience. My name is Brooke Fenton, and I'm an Ayurvedic counselor, yoga guide, and energy medicine practitioner. I'm so delighted to be moderating this panel discussion today as an ambassador for Asha Experience. To commemorate International Women's Day on the 8th of March, we welcome you to explore the significance of Ayurveda and yoga and how it can help women's health today. Our panelists will speak about how Ayurveda and yoga can treat women's health throughout different phases of their life. And we will address some common areas of interest related to women's health specifically. We will come to understand how the holistic and nature-based approaches of these practices can help to restore balance while addressing the root cause of some common disorders through the lenses of diet, lifestyle practices, and hereditary patterns. Our panel members today contain a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I am pleased to introduce them to you. Dr. Taysin Malik, who will be joining us shortly, is with us today from the United Arab Emirates. Dr. Taysin has over 15 years of experience as an Ayurvedic doctor. Her expertise and research are in managing women's health issues like PCOS, teenage menstrual issues, hormonal health, and natural fertility across the UAE, UK, and India. We are delighted to be with you, Dr. Taysin. Oh, there she is. Wonderful. Dr. Anusha Shastri joins us today from Germany. Dr. Anusha is a consultant physician in Ayurveda and integrated medicines with experience in Ayurveda and yoga. She specializes in pain management using neuromuscular connectivity patterns, amongst other areas of specialty. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Anusha. And Claudie Bell joins us today from Switzerland, where she guides others as a breathwork and nutrition coach, as well as a meditation, mindfulness, and yoga teacher. She dedicates herself to bringing well-being to women in a gentle and holistic way. We are delighted to have you with us today, Claudie. Today, we are also joined by the founding members of Asha Experience, Hubert Patry, who might not be here, but is with us in spirit, and Bijoya Mohanty, along with the entire Asha team. So welcome, everybody. Asha Experience, for those of you who are unfamiliar with what we do, is a healing platform that offers Ayurvedic and yogic services, as well as many unique opportunities to travel to India for a variety of treatments, therapies, and cultural experiences. A diverse group of people make up the Asha family, including Ayurvedic doctors, yogis, meditators, nutritionists, and chefs, and wellness ambassadors who are committed to serving the well-being of all people with sustainable wellness experiences. You can find out more about the corporate wellness packages, healing hub, and travel experiences we offer by visiting the website at www.ashaexperience.com. And now I'll turn it over to Shivra, the wellness director for the team, to share with us the idea behind setting up this Ayurvedic healing platform. Thank you, Shivra.
Thank you, Brooke, for asking this. You see, the length and breadth of Ayurveda is huge. And since Ayurveda roots from nature, it has an empathetic characteristics which understands every living being to the core. Team Asha, through its Ayurvedic and holistic healing platform, addresses to all your health needs. And if the healing needs any extensive treatments like Panchakarma or any other such treatments which is not yet available around you, we can have that arranged at Ayurvedic retreats in India under the supervision of qualified team of doctors and yoga therapists, nutritionists from Asha team. And moreover, we have wellness travel plans, as Brooke mentioned, for your holistic rejuvenation and lifestyle guidance. So yeah, on behalf of Asha, I encourage all to welcome Ayurveda in your life. Thank you, Brooke.
Wonderful.
You can
Thank
carry
you so
on.
much.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So for all of us who are joining on Zoom today, please feel free at any point to write your questions related to today's topic on women's health in the chat box. And we'll do our best to address these questions at the end because we have a few really great questions we're going to begin with. So with that, let's begin. And I have some questions for the doctors. So let's begin with you, Dr. Shastri.
Yeah.
I'd love to explore how and why Ayurveda is significant when considering the busy lives that so many women today are living, and how Ayurveda can play an important role for women of all ages in their journey towards better health. So I'd love if you could start us off, Dr. Shastri. Thank you.
So first of all, thank you so much, Brooke, for the lovely introduction of not just me, but the whole team, and very glad to be the part of the panel discussion today, and especially the topic, significance of Ayurveda and women health. That is an amazing topic, and very glad to be addressing some of the questions. So before I begin to explain the significance or the answer to your question, let me break down the question into two parts and start defining it. So first of all, it is important that I define what Ayurveda is and what health according to Ayurveda. So Ayurveda, as we all know, the word Ayu and Veda, the science of life, that is a Sanskrit word. Ayu means life and Veda is science. So according to Ayurveda, it's not just the physical well-being, but the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, social well-being all together. So when we maintain an equilibrium between all these levels, that is said to be health. And it is still more beautiful when we define that in terms of Ayurveda. We say, Samadosha Samagnishcha Samadhatu Malakriyaha. These are all the bodily entities. Whereas the additional thing, which is said to be Prasannatmendriya Manaha, Ayurveda says sense organs, our soul, and mental health all together, that is health. So it is important, especially in women's life, women's health, and then coming to who woman is, because we need to define how important Ayurveda and women's health, right? So who is a woman basically? Is that the physical gender identity that we say a woman, or what it is? Woman, she's not just the physical identity, but woman is the mental, emotional conduit of energy, I would say. Therefore, since Ayurveda gives utter importance to all the holistic and the wholesome health, women's health also plays an important role. Again, let me emphasize, not just in the physical level, but physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, social, on a holistic and wholesome level, women's health is definitely important. Therefore, in the present day situation, it is very important to look at it in this aspect. This is a fast moving world, and the whole world is like everything we just need in the fingertips. But it's also important just to take one step back, sit back, relax, take a breath, and then see what exactly is important. Ayurveda helps us in this way. It does not only treat the disease of a deceased individual, but also helps to increase the health of a healthy individual. And that is what is most required for each and every woman. That's why, for example, if we say, let us break down the cycle of a woman's life into 2-3 parts, starting from before menarche, from birth till menarche, and from menarche till, let's say, pregnancy, the fertile period, and then coming to menopause, the life after that. So at every single part, Ayurveda so beautifully has defined so many regimes that is to be followed, not just in a pattern that it is general and universal, but Ayurveda has the general rules as well as it has customized personal set of regimes. So the seasonal regime, daily regime, what is good, what is to be avoided, the contraindication, and the conducive things, non-conducive things. beautifully the three treatises of Ayurveda and the other beautiful treatises of Ayurveda have explained this. So, yeah, I think while we are speaking today and we address so many questions, the upcoming questions, we'll speak more about it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction to what Ayurveda is, and also speaking to its holistic nature, because we are holistic beings. And I think this can be easily forgotten for so many of us in today's world, that we're more than just the physical body, right? And that we go through different phases of our lives. And in those phases, we require specific protocols and regimens for care. So thank you so much, Dr. Anusha. And for sharing the Sanskrit phrase in the beginning. That was a delight to hear as well.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Dr. Tessin have joined already. She's there with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I have a question for you, Dr. Tessin. Ayurveda approaches wellness through simple and effective daily practices or regimens as tools to cultivate harmony within. Let's look at some of the daily regimens for women through different phases of life, like we were just speaking about, and understand some helpful guidance for each phase, as well as things to be mindful of incorporating and also of not doing, like you were saying, Dr. Shastri, in each of these life phases. So Dr. Malik, would you speak about some helpful daily regimens for menstruating women? In Ayurveda, this group of women is referred to as Rajaswala.
Thank you so much, Brooke. Thank you very much for a beautiful introduction to Ayurveda and women's health. And thank you, Dr. Anisha, for a very beautiful insight of classical Ayurveda that is present for women of that time and today. And as we know that Ayurveda works on a preventive and promotive side, as well as treatment. We have a treatment aspect to Ayurveda also. So when we are talking about the problems that happens in women's life, like a lot of problems, hormonal issues, PCOS, endometriosis, there are lots of common things that are present as challenges, as lifestyle challenges in today's day and age. And with simple regime, these problems can be avoided, or the intensity of these problems can be brought down to a great extent. And these three simple regimes that I would like to mention, one is about the menstruating women, which is called Rutumati Charya. The other part is when the women moves to the next part is the pregnancy. So basically it's called Garhini in Ayurveda. So that's Garhini Paricharya, and then we have Sutika. So these three important regimes are given exclusive in Ayurveda, and there are certain do's and don'ts that I would quickly like to mention too. There are certain don'ts that is sleeping. You should not be sleeping. Too much of sleeping during the daytime should be avoided. Too much of any activity like crying, laughing, cycling, too much of exercise, excessive exercise. There is a very beautiful thing, not taking too much of steam or any other type of hot fermentation, because that increases or that imbalance, that creates an imbalance in the flow of menstruation. So that is another thing. The kind of food that we should be eating, what taste, so not too strong, not too pungent, not too bitter. These are the foods that should be avoided during the menstruation, and if they are taken, it should be taken in a smaller and like a palatable quantity. The other thing is very important is avoiding coitus. These days a lot of young girls, they need education on how to have menstruation hygiene. So Ayurveda speaks a lot about menstrual hygiene. What are the practices? Ayurveda says eating light food during menstruation is good because that creates a lot of positive energy in the body. And then the activities, like I have mentioned, are given. Then there are certain beautiful herbs that can be consumed during this phase, like Ashoka, Ashwagandha, Lodra, Shatavari, Shatapushpa. All these are beautiful herbs given in Ayurveda, which can be consumed during this phase in form of decoction, in form of powders, under a care of an Ayurveda doctor. And this will help a young girl or any women to prevent many upcoming problems with her health.
Mm.
So this is about the menstrual regime. And then I would be really interested if Dr. Anusha can put some light on the Garbhini part, or the pregnancy care.
Thank you, Dr. Tehsin. All the points that you mentioned are extremely important, especially the part where you said the overindulgence leads to many of the disorders. That is something we have to be very careful these days, because one thing, intentionally or let's say unintentionally, that all of us indulge is stress. So many of the activities, the day-to-day lifestyle, be it sedentary or overactiveness, both the things, both extremes. So we have to be really careful about it. And as Dr. Tehsin rightly mentioned, it is the Rajaswala or the menstruating phase, then only that can lead to the next phase. The Garbhini Charya or the other phase, puerperal woman or the Sutika Charya, that can only happen when we take utter importance, utmost care during the menstruation phase. So speaking from the points that Dr. Tehsin has already mentioned, let's just try to understand how beautifully Ayurveda has explained something about Garbhini Charya. Garbhini is pregnant. So I think most of you are aware that Ayurveda, we basically, in Ayurveda, the three treatises, I mentioned three treatises, but I didn't mention which are those three. We concentrate on these three books. Treatises, I mean to say, it's a huge collection of books and Sanskrit verses. So it is Charaka Samhita, Sushrutha Samhita, and Ashtanga Hridaya, that is, or Ashtanga Sangraha. These are the three books, Brihatrayis we call. From these, many other books are derived. So every single treatise has given importance to female health, women health, menstruation, Garbhini Charya, individually in individual chapter. Be it Garbhini Paricharya or be it Garbhini Vijnana, Sutika Vijnana, there are chapters dedicated to this. So it is almost like if we follow what exactly is given there, it is foolproof and 100% whatever it is written absolutely will be in good health. So what are those important things? What exactly does Ayurveda say? For example, if it is Garbhini Charya, it begins every monthly, on monthly basis, first month, in the first trimester, what is to be done, what is to be avoided, it has been mentioned. Second month, third month, likewise for all the 9 months, and during labor, if a woman, she confronts some of the unexpected complications, what is to be done, how to treat that. All these things are mentioned, not just in the Sutrasthana of these treatises, wherein the bodily physical organs and the other functionality, anatomical and physiological things are mentioned, but also in the terms of Chikitsa, the treatment regime as well has been mentioned. Let me just list out a few regimes that can be followed during Garbhini Charya, the regime a pregnant woman has to follow. For example, this can be divided into Ahara and Vihara. Ahara is the food that she has to consume, and Vihara is the mode of lifestyle that a pregnant woman needs to inculcate in her life. So when it is Ahara, it has to be usually, in general, we always say, Hita bhuk, Mita bhuk, Rutu bhuk. So eat mindfully, and what is conducive to the body and what is seasonal and what can be easily digested. That applies, and that has to be very much, we have to give importance to this aspect when it comes to Garbhini Charya for a pregnant woman. A pregnant woman needs to eat what is not pungent or sour and should nourish herself with all this sweet tasted food. Like, for example, let's say, what increases her strength and stamina, like the anabolic foods. So what exactly, we call it Brahmana, what nourishes, what increases the energy. That is what a pregnant woman needs to consume. So for example, be it milk or ghee or butter, honey, these are the sweet foods that will nourish one's body. So it is directly proportional to the child's health as well. So that is the reason we have to give importance to what food is consumed. Then coming to vihara, a pregnant woman should not indulge in a lot of excessive activities, be it excessive riding, excessive driving, exercises, or even for that matter, excessive talking. She needs to get ample of rest. But again, day sleeping is contraindicated. Of course, there are exceptions in exceptional conditions, but in general, I'm just talking about the general rule here. Because again, Ayurveda is beautiful and it is customized, as I told you, and depends upon individual prakriti, the body constitution. But as a general rule, sleeping during the day is contraindicated. Using soft and like the mattress or the soft cushions, such thing, what is really conducive and which gives that feeling of coziness, the warmth, that is to be adopted on day-to-day activities. And using some, Ayurveda also describes the amulet of herbs, and like it's really important. Pregnant women will be given a bath with some fragrant medicinal herbs that takes care of the skin and all the essential nutrients in the body, all the tissues and other things. So it's beautiful when we look at it. For example, the first month is all about the first 3 trimester, wherein nausea, vomiting will be there. We have to restore that energy, give some anabolic brahmana things like honey and sweetened rice, the rice gruel and other stuff. And then comes the second trimester, wherein slowly the 4th, 5th months, wherein the child's muscle and all these things will be growing. Again, increase by nourishing. So again, there is certain regime with sweetened rice. We call it as payasam in Ayurveda and other things. And then the 8th, 9th months, wherein it will be, see, for example, the Vayu, Vata, what we say in Ayurveda, it should not be misplaced. So that's the reason, to restore all these elements, we give some medicated irrigations and medicated, we call it as Pichudharana Kriya, and we have Basti, the enemas, the retention enema, which are conducive to the body, does not increase Vata, as well as helps the process of labor as well. So this is something that has to be kept in mind. Of course, giving importance to the psychological well-being. There shouldn't be any sort of grief or sudden shock or any sort of strain over the mind and body as well. So all these things are absolutely mentioned point by point in Ayurveda. So this itself shows how important it is to follow Ayurvedic regime. I would like to request Dr. Tessin to show some light about Sutikacharya, the purpural woman. Dr. Tessin,
thank you so much for this beautiful answer. And Dr. Tessin, if I could just ask you to answer in a few sentences, just in the spirit of time, so we can continue moving on to the questions. We'd love to hear a little bit from you on Sutika, and then we'll move on. Thank you.
Sure. Yes, like Dr. Anusha beautifully explained the regime of a pregnant woman, a Garbhini Paricharya, and rightly said that it is the right balance of physical, mental, and emotional well-being that counts in any phase of women's life. And Ayurveda is a holistic science that looks holistically or comprehensively to all these 3 types of well-being. So we the next lifestyle that we're talking about is the lifestyle of postnatal women, or as we call it Sutika Paricharya, the women who has delivered. Now, in this period, this is a beautiful period where it's a period of happiness, contentment, but on the other hand, it's a period of physical and mental fatigue due to the decline or weakness or emulsification of the body fluids, loss of blood. So Ayurveda here focuses on improving the metabolism, healing, and of course gaining back the vitality that the women has lost. It helps us to revert back to the pre-pregnant phase. And the regime that I would like to mention in a very short uh, uh, words is that women are here advised to have foods that are nourishing in nature, like gruel, soup, wholesome foods, basically whole grain preparations with good fats. Because nowadays, there is a trend that fats and carbs are, they don't go hand in hand with the fitness and health. But contradictory to that, Ayurveda focuses on wholesome foods that give right kind of nourishment and healing to the body. And of course, there is a big emphasis on improving metabolism. Now, this is done through the dietary guidelines that are given in Ayurveda. There are certain panchakarma therapies that are conducted for this postnatal women, like abhyangam, like svedana, fermentation, that helps her body to relieve the retention and the kind of stress that she has gone through, and to go back to the healthy state. There are certain herbs, again, shatavari, one of the best and the beautiful herb that is used postnatal, which is basically, promotes lactation. Fennel, Dhanvantaram yogas with oils and kashayams. These are, some exclusive yogas that are given for women who are postnatal. And these help women to go back to her pre-pregnancy state, heal, and actually, come back to the normal life, normalcy. So this is about Sutikacharya, Brooke.
Adding to the Sutikacharya, may I? So, even what is to be done, Dr. Tessin beautifully explained what is to be followed, and Ayurveda also mentions about nowadays the point of concern is post-surgical, if it is cesarean section or something, the cesarean belly, C-section belly and other stuff. Ayurveda also addresses these things. Therefore, Sutikacharya, when we follow properly, even such complications wouldn't be there. So,
true. Yes, absolutely right, Dr. Nisha.
Brooke, we can't hear you.
Yes, Brooke, we can't hear you. Can you go to the next question, please? Yeah. Okay. Can I ask the next question? So you can. You need to de-link yourself, please, and then join back. That would be better. Yeah. Sorry for this inconvenience. Yes, of course. I would like it to Dr. Anusha to answer in brief, like we are running short of time. So, like, what is the significance of Ayurveda in maintaining the hormonal health and skin health of a woman? Both are very important for a woman. So, then please give some light on it.
Definitely. I mean, when we see in terms of modern medicine, we have, we define it in terms of FSH, LH, progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone hormones. But according to Ayurveda, we define that in terms of Dhatu and Agni. So according to Ayurveda, it is all about the tissues. We have Sapta Dhatus, and every Dhatu has its function, and whatever we eat, that has to be assimilated, and the Shukra Dhatu, what we say, the reproductive tissues are the last ones, and the whole body is to be nourished. Only then there won't be any sort of imbalance in terms of hormones, as well as the first Dhatu, the Rasa, when Rasa and Rakta, the lymph and the blood and the other following tissues are in its complete health, then it is seen on our skin. So we have to take care of there are certain regimes that we can follow. Like, for example, the regular daily regime and seasonal regime, eating right food according to season. It's not fine when in extreme winter, if we eat some ice cream, right? It works the same way. So then we'll be spoiling our health. In turn, that probably it's a vicious cycle. When that is lost, probably our mental health is not in its right frame, and then that comes back to it rotates back to hormones. So
Correct.
Hormonal health and skin health, they are interrelated and very much dependent upon the reproductive system. So estrogen, progesterone, these are the hormones that are very much regulated in the female reproductive system. And to take care, for example, mitahara we say, so the conducive food, what we eat. So that shouldn't be excessive, extreme sour, extreme spicy, but in an optimal level, and mindful eating. When it comes to vihara, we have to integrate certain practices, the sister science of Ayurveda, practicing yoga, that will definitely keeps our hormones in check. So using these things and integrating simple techniques and integrating the daily and seasonal regime is the key to take care of hormones. And we have many of the Ayurvedic combinations and herbs, and we have many things that we can do on daily basis, be it using Shata Pushpa or just massaging the body with Bala Taila. These things takes care of overall health. When we have to concentrate on specific hormones or specific problems, it has to be done under the guidance of a very qualified Ayurvedic practitioner. Because if we just give out some of the herbs or other formulations, we'll be misguiding. So that's not right.
Certainly.
But there are so many formulations that can be adopted in balancing. So I think Dr. Tehseen would be able to give some more points on the same idea.
Yeah, I would like to know
Yes.
it from Claudia also, like what is the perspective of yoga in it, of hormonal health and skin health? What Claudia would like to say? Does it add to it?
Bear with me. Can you hear me all?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you all in the spirit of Ayurveda and yoga to honor and support women worldwide. And special thanks to Asha Experience and Bijoya and Shubha for inviting me, and to Dr. Anusha, Dr. Tehseen, and Brooke for sharing this space with me. Yes, definitely. So one of the things that I appreciate about yoga is that several practices, if not most of them, are supportive of women's hormonal health, and they are so accessible, and there is a great variety of choices, right? So I think specifically of asanas, for example. So asanas, pranayama, which is conscious breathing, and meditation, right? So in terms of asanas, I like, for example, twists, inversions, back bends, forward folds, core work, right? They stimulate the blood flow, you know, the organs, the glands as well. And you even get special, you know, spinal care, I would say. And, you know, for example, I like Surya Namaskar, you know, sun salutation. I like Malasana, the yogi squat. I like Balasana as well, child's pose. So this is very soothing for women also who are menstruating, and it just induces a certain relaxation in the body, right? So you can also choose to practice pranayama, right? Where many studies have shown that slow, deep, diaphragmatic breathing is one of the body's strongest self-healing, soothing tools, right? So, and in my own practice, when I want to relax, I do samavriti, the even breath. I also do nadi shodhana. I love it. This is alternate nostril breathing. And I even use the sound of ujjayi, you know, by making like a ha sound at the pit of my throat. And it further stimulates the vagus nerve, which is, it makes up about 80% of our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest mode, right? I also find meditation extremely helpful for women's hormonal health, right? So it is now a well-known, powerful tool. It lowers cortisol, it lowers the adrenal levels, it restores the hormonal balance as well. So, and for that specifically, as exercises I like visualization, and people can do that as well. Sometimes they don't really know what to do. I like to imagine myself sitting by a lake, you know, on the quiet, windless day, which is really nice. But I also do chakra meditation, or I watch the natural flow of my breath, right? There's also mantras like arm chanting that you can do, and it really enhances focus. It lowers distraction and even pain in the body, and just suffering in general, right? So there are plenty of resources online if anyone is interested, but I have experienced yoga as a wonderful supporting tool, you know, for my hormonal balance. Thank you, Shubhra.
Thank you, Claudie, for your inputs. Can we, unfortunately, Brooke is having certain technical glitch with her mic. So I'm continuing. I have the questions ready. So it goes to, it's another important thing. Like, I would like to know it from Dr. Tehseen about can you, if you give an importance of Ayurveda in women's sexual life?
Thank you, Shubhra. Thank you for the question. And yes, you know, as much as this question or this issue is taken for granted, but this is of immense importance, because you know, every woman at some point of time and for a longer period of time deals with this kind of issues on day-to-day levels. And Ayurveda and sexual life, Ayurveda actually focuses around Shukra Dhatu. How Dr. Anusha explained that the Shukra Dhatu is, you know, the most refined form of all the Dhatus. And, you know, that is, you can say, the reproductive element in the body. Shukra is, we can say Shukra is life. That is what, you know, it keeps us going. And Shukra is also responsible for the new life. So Ayurveda actually, you know, in a very elaborate way, talks about how to preserve and balance this dhatu, and what are the do's and don'ts, you know, what are the things that will be harmful if you indulge in, and what are the things, you know, or what are the activities that will be that will help to improve your Shukra dhatu. Also, you know, coming to the coitus, Ayurveda gives a lot of instructions for pre-coitus, you know, regime, the coitus regime and the post-coitus regime. It includes hygiene, it includes, you know, cleanliness, it includes, like, you know, perfuming yourself, basically, you know, making yourself more palatable to the partner. And it's vice versa. It's not only for women, it's also for men also. What kind of partner you should be choosing, how many times or how often you should be indulging into coitus, because Ayurveda always, you know, it always reminds us, take a middle path. It should not be too less, not too excessive. Also, Ayurveda talks about, you know, the orgasm. That is, you know, a big taboo in today's time. Like, not many people talk about it, but how each partner, both of them, should ensure that, you know, both the partners reach that phase. So basically, in this way, Ayurveda talks elaborately about a lot of factors related to the sexual life. And an Ayurveda practitioner, or, you know, a lot of Ayurveda therapies can enhance the, you know, if there are any concerns, or if somebody generally wants to improve their sexual life, Ayurveda has a lot of, you know, things that can offer help.
It's really so interesting to know that Ayurveda talks about fragrances and all these steps to be encouraging into sexual life. I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, otherwise, Ayurveda, usually it is something like prehistoric science and something like, okay, related to only sages.
Only sages, and a lot of people think that, you know, Ayurveda because it also talks about spirituality.
Yeah.
Ayurveda might advocate that, you
Don't have a sexual life at all.
You don't have a sex. No, that is not right.
That is
Ayurveda
not
has
right.
yes.
It's wonderful to
Beautiful
know
code
that.
of conduct, how to indulge with your partner and give them their rights.
Thank you.
And
Good to know
Ayurveda
about
just
it.
says food, sleep, and sexual life. These are the three pillars Ayurveda
Pillars
says.
of yes.
Yeah, wonderful. I believe a lot of people have a lot of inhibition about Ayurveda, thinking that it's very ancient science. Gradually, they would develop on it, I believe. So yes, next I would like to ask this, that in fact, this a question I would like to put to all of you, all the panelists here. What is the reason that a lot of women are yet to accept Ayurveda in their life? I think it has a relation with the previous question. So yes, Anusha, if you can please talk about a little brief about it.
Thank you, Shuvra. Like the main misconception, just now Dr. Tehseen said, they usually in the world, they think Ayurveda is all about just being sages and other things. But Ayurveda, there is a misconception it is religious. Ayurveda is spiritual. There is a big difference between being spiritual and being religious. Ayurveda advocates spiritualism and not religious things, first of all. Secondly, this might be one of the reasons. I mean, it is very there is a lot of controversy revolving around the subject itself, but there are a lot many people, they just don't want to accept Ayurveda just because of this reason, one of the reasons. And many think this is not rational. There is no much evidence. This is not an evidence-based medical science is what many people think, and this is not rational enough. This is not a medical science rather than just a healing system. Or in the West, I'm not generalizing, but it is just known for its wellness aspect rather than the medical aspect of it. That's the reason. So many people they do not have the exact idea. There is no awareness. I would say it's not the fault, but gradually it is also picking up. For example, Asha has been doing immensely well. So the promoting of Ayurveda in its authentic form is really important. And one more thing, why many of the women are not ready to accept this is because they think it is tedious. It is too much to follow. It is like a norm. How do we follow all these things? How do we inculcate? It needs a lot of time and I do not have time. This is the mindset. But it is all about integrating. It's not just during pregnancy or just during when we have the problem, I'll just follow it. No, when we can adopt small things every day, like smearing oil to the joints, it just does good. Ayurveda does not harm anybody if we follow that. Of course, even if we don't harm and then cause problems, again we come back, Ayurveda embraces and helps us. Therefore, it's not about what is wrong or I'm unable to do, but it's just about time management and integrating that. So we are just failing in understanding the authenticity and that flexibility of Ayurveda. It's regional, rational. It's not just Indian thing. It can be followed universally. So we just have to go by the principles of Ayurveda. So understanding that makes it beautiful. So yeah, let's all try to follow Ayurvedic lifestyle.
So what's your take, Claudie, on it? On the questions?
Yes, I definitely agree with Dr. Anusha here. And also I think that Ayurveda isn't rooted, let's say, as in Western society yet. So that people do think of it as a very superficial kind of science, right? So there needs to be more depth in knowledge and also more bandwidth, right? So, and I think it involves as well speaking with, other health practitioners who are not coming from the Ayurveda space, just also to, open the conversation, right? So, and I think that a lot of people, they just, when they don't know something, they're sometimes blocking out a little bit, right? So I think that is what is happening with Ayurveda a little bit at the moment. And especially, And I do feel that in yoga as well, right? So, and for me, I always recommend people to explore yoga and Ayurveda with a curious, open mind, right? So to try different things and see what's most suitable for them, right? So I think you can start, like Dr. Anusha said, you can start with the smallest, easiest, manageable exercise, right? So just putting oil on your joints, just do it regularly. And then that's how, you start putting in place those new behaviors, right? So for example, when I started,
yeah, even short things like dry brushing or doing abhangya, isn't it, Dr. Tehseen? So all this regime, which we love to do it, I think it's so encouraging. So what's your take on encouragement to encourage women to follow Ayurveda? I mean, at least I feel it to be very encouraging to do all this. Yeah, personally.
Yes, yes, Shura, absolutely. Like you said, small steps at a time. It's not like, when you start following Ayurveda, you completely take a 360 change, because Ayurveda always focuses on your cultural habit, your day-to-day routine, and it helps you to build a routine around your own habits. It's not that you have to completely stop eating what you eat and start just eating soups and gruels that I mentioned. No, it helps you to have a healthy lifestyle. That is one thing. And the other challenge I feel with Ayurveda, not being practiced widely and not being is that the awareness, like everybody said, that the awareness what Ayurveda can bring to your life is very important, and the responsibility lies on our shoulders. And I really want to thank Asha Experience, Shuvra, you, Bijoya, and the entire team for bringing Ayurveda to the world, especially the Western world, in a palatable way.
We are very lucky to have such a wonderful team like you doctors, make us, encourages us actually. So, of course, yes, Bijoya, would you like to say something on this?
Yeah, I would like to just go through one of the question which has been asked, that how does Ayurveda helps with menopause sweating? That's also a question I would like to hear the answer from one of our doctor.
Yes.
I would like to take this question, and I think Dr. Tehseen also has something to say, and she could add to that, I guess. So menopause, again, this is an elaborate thing that is mentioned in Ayurveda, and certain things, like for example, sweating, or a few people, sudden depression, or even for that matter, excessive eating or developing of fibroid in uterus. All these things, these are dependent upon how the dosha, the deviation from the normalcy in the body, so how that is accumulated over a period of time. And Ayurveda we always go by Prakriti. What body constitution does a person, what Prakriti a person belongs to. And if there is a deviation from that, maybe there is something you've accumulated over a period of time causing this. And just like Ayurveda does not treat on the superficial symptomatic level, and we have to go for the root cause. Sweating might be one of the things that has been an effect of something underlying. So we have to look at it according to which Prakriti person you are and what dosha has been deviated. So if we go for that ground causative factor, and rule out that, we will be in a better position to handle such symptoms easily, and also improve the health overall condition, because menopause is a very important phase of women's life. So it is important to address that, and we would be happy to connect with you, whoever our viewer has asked this question, to analyze that in a better way, so that we'll be giving you proper, authentic information.
Thank you, Dr. Anusha. Yes, and thank you, somebody who asked this question, so that everybody are enlightened with this answer. Yes, we would go for the, I think we are almost nearing the time of the session. So I would like to ask Claudie about, I heard about, you already explained about the role of or importance of yoga in women's life. So if you can say what are the basics which they can start up with? I mean, with what you can encourage them? And is there any age bar to start up? Because that's also a hindrance. Like, oh, I am already 40, so I don't think I can start up now. So if you can talk about it.
Yes, of course. So first, I'd like to clarify a few things and perhaps, reassure whoever is interested but hesitant to start practicing Ayurveda or yoga that there's no pressure at all, right? So it is, we don't need anything fancy, to get into those sciences, right? Into the system. And so I think it's about, at least for yoga, it's about observing without judgment, and being curious about what's going on inside of us and around us. So, and I think a great way to dive into, for example, yoga is to start with, let's say, the ethical side of it, right? So we have the yamas and the niyamas. The yamas are a set of principles on how we behave towards other living beings, where the niyamas are more like guidelines on our behavior towards ourselves, our personal discipline and spiritual practice, right? So these two alone can lead to a great shift in mindset and behavior. And I think, so this is a thing, what I also really, really find so powerful, in both Ayurveda and yoga is that, it welcomes all, right? So it is all inclusive. So it's just, it treats the individual, right? So it's not like a size for all thing, right? So, and of course, women of all ages, body types, backgrounds, and faiths can practice yoga and also Ayurveda, right? And I think, for example, elderly women, right, in yoga, they will find a way for them to nourish themselves as they need to, in a way that serves them, right? In yoga, they will have, for example, restorative poses where, they're not able to do anything dynamic anymore, but they'll always find something for them, right? Same for pregnant women, there is prenatal and postnatal yoga, so they can use that, including breathwork and meditation. Of course, I need to say that if someone has a medical condition or if they are on medication, it's always good to consult a healthcare professional, before starting a new practice. Otherwise, yoga and Ayurveda welcome all.
Yeah, that's good that you mentioned that. That's really needed. And there is one question from the audience that if you can talk about PCOS and PCOD, which is very common nowadays, I think we can take this question. And what would be the main cause and how to prevent or revert it back? So if Dr. Tehseen can answer to this, please.
Thanks a lot, Shubhra. And I'm happy I got the question because this is what I practice and specialize,
exactly.
Right?
You specialize on that.
Yes. So, I was looking forward to it, actually. Okay. So, PCOS, PCOD is explained in Ayurveda. The condition can be correlated to Ayurveda, which is called anartava. Basically, artava is one of the updhatus. And, the condition when there is no artava, or we can correlate it with anovulatory cycles. So basically, polycystic ovarian syndrome is a group of, many different conditions together, but more specifically having cyst in the ovaries, having subfertility, having, abnormal weight gain.
Yeah, Yeah, please.
Sorry.
You got
Yes.
unmuted. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah. So there are a lot of symptoms that are a part of PCOD, and just to precisely mention, it is the condition of anarthava, and the most common cause to this is again the lifestyle that we live. Okay, even if you correlate it with modern science, it also says that there are genetics is obviously involved, but these genes will not get activated unless you give that trigger factor, and the trigger factor is our lifestyle. So Ayurveda basically talks about lifestyle, how our lifestyle, the lifestyle of young girls, they impact in terms of diet, they do in terms of the daily routine, like sleeping in the daytime, lack of exercise, lack of activity, indulging into certain activities, too much of activity or too less activity, kind of food, like not taking wholesome food, balanced diet. So there are a lot of factors that lead to this, and uh, the right treatment would be fixing the small gaps in our lifestyle. And of course, Ayurveda for this condition has again a beautiful bunch of herbs, therapies that can be inculcated in this treatment regime. Thank you, Shubha. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I don't see any more questions from the audience here. I think we have got a gist of what Ayurveda is and how important it is in our life, in women's life, in everybody's life. But when we are talking about women today, so we are talking about women. And of course, it needs a lifestyle advice. And that advice need to come from an expert advice. So, of course, we would say that wherever you want to show up to a doctor, go to an expert, take an advice. Of course, you can come join us. Ask Asha. Asha team is always there to help you out. Even if you have any queries, just drop a question. We will definitely address to that. And our doctors, our team of therapists, healers, yoga therapists, we have entire integrated system. So no worries. Even some extensive treatment, if it is required, we do take care of that. So please get in touch with us, and hope and every month we would be doing, we have already started doing this kind of events, and we would be doing more with our team of doctors and therapists and healers to give you more insights about Ayurveda. Yes, and thank you for joining here to encourage us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shubhra. And I would like to
thank you, Yubei. Thank you, Yubei. You were not well, I heard, but still you are with us to encourage. Thank you so much. And since you're not well, I didn't ask you to speak something today. Otherwise, of course, we would have said that. And yes, if you have any questions from the audience, you can write back to us. We have the email address in our website. Please get in touch with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Brooke. No worries. Thank you, Brooke. You tried joining, but I took your role. Next time you would do it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, we would upload it, this entire event, if you want to review it in our page, so you can see that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining. Namaste.